this is gonna be the new thing of like, yeah. Are we on? Are we off? Which link? All of that stuff. But
I know, and I so appreciate. I'm gonna have to leave early because I have a 2:30, but
okay, that's okay.
I wanted to see your
I
faces,
know.
yours particularly.
We got that funny photo of you with the cucumber and the tomato. The tomato that looked like a bum.
Oh, oh my God. I'm like, wait a minute. I
It's
took
probably
that
so
to
long ago,
Kate.
Mary, that you
She
wouldn't
must
even remember it.
she
Yeah.
must have sent
Yeah.
that
Kate sent
to,
it.
yes,
Saying,
okay.
hello from Mary. Oh.
So where are you?
I'm in my office today, and I was on a night, such a lovely vacation that seems like it was about 2 years ago now, and then came home. I think I was home for 2 weeks, 2 weeks and one weekend, basically, and then flew off to Asia for 2 weeks. And
Right,
now
but you're back in DC now?
I'm back in DC and I'm
Okay,
at my
okay,
office today, but
okay.
it just is, everything that piled up over that vacation and
It's like,
travel.
I'm coming, really. I can claw my way out of this.
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
was your time in
Asia, it was good. I was very nostalgic. I just Kate will get this. I we My first day, my first morning there, my colleague, I was like, let's go out to the temples or whatever. She's like, I'm at the mall. Come meet me at the mall. So I was like, ugh. So I walk into this Asian mall, with a Prada store, and this woman, you know, Western woman walks in with her two little kids. And I literally burst out crying because
Oh, it's like,
that's
no, my
how,
life is not there anymore. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. It was like, I know this mall, and malls are kind of recreation spaces in
Yeah.
Indonesia, and there are a lot of, fun kid stuff and birthday parties and all. I mean, you wouldn't go to a mall every weekend, but you would definitely go once a month so I like burst into tears, and then my colleague found me. I was like all cryy, and she's like, what's
I really don't want to go into the Prada store.
yeah, and it was just kind of nostalgic for like
Oh,
our kids are grown up and we don't live here anymore, and I think for me it was a little bit of like, was this my children's childhood was actually in malls? Did I think this was a good thing at the time? Like there were so many mixed emotions around that.
but who gets to revisit a childhood like that? I mean, most of us have memories and we don't have, I mean, there's not other
Yeah,
than,
but there's probably things when you go home to your hometown, Mary, that are
oh,
very similar,
absolutely.
right? Yeah,
Absolutely. But for those who have lived overseas or somewhere
yeah,
that is so far from where you are with your kids as an adult, like, yeah, I mean, Abby and I, we have lots of memories from all over, but it's not like we're going to go back to, I mean, maybe Mexico, but probably not Tokyo, probably not. I mean, maybe to see my brother,
yeah.
um, but
Oh, I
not
see what you mean, that I would have the opportunity to go back.
right. I mean, for
Yeah,
you to go back to the
yeah,
same mall that your kids you took to a birthday party or whatever
yeah,
you did
yeah,
there, like that doesn't, I wouldn't think that that's a normal
yeah,
um, revisiting other than
yeah,
most people have memories or pictures or something like that. Like, oh
yeah.
yeah, I remember that store. I remember that.
Oh
Yeah, I
man.
mean, to be
Yeah.
clear, it wasn't the same mall, but it was the
There was
same.
enough of
Yeah,
the
it was the same.
ambiance.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
had
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
taken a picture of it, it could have been a picture of a. So that was interesting to be kind of overwhelmed with that nostalgia. And then to
Yeah.
go into, I love Bangkok, and of course it was just fun to be there and, you know, be doing Bangkok. And then in the Philippines, I just really felt in my element. I was working with a bunch of, 20 and 30-year-olds who have been doing pretty traditional community development programming, like teaching kids to read. And I was there to try to help them think through how we start doing work on gender equality, you know, addressing discrimination, right? So they'd just gone out and done all this participatory research and they were having a really hard time getting their heads around it. And I was like, I'm useful in this situation. Like, I know how to help people think through these things. So, and particularly in Southeast context, like I don't know those communities, but and I'm dated, but I more or less kind of know those communities. So it
But
was good to
again, there's that perspective that is very new. When you were doing that same work at 20, the world wasn't doing that work.
right.
And
Well,
now
yeah.
the world is starting to do that work. At least people don't hopefully flinch when you say gender equality. They kind of like, oh, I've heard like that word before,
Right.
you know, but now you're working with probably 20 and 30 or 20-year-olds who have possibly had in the last 3 years.
Yeah,
With
they have more exposure, I think, to the lingo, but you know, solving gender inequality is really hard, as we all know.
oh yeah, no, it's not like
Totally.
solve out, introducing maybe, but again, you have the perspective of your own living, life experience and professional experience,
Yeah.
and in a very
And
different
I've got
place.
something to learn from these folks, right? Because they're bringing, that's the other fun part about working with young people is you always learn something.
Right.
So that was good, but it is a fucking long flight to Asia. I was like, oh my God, it really does take 24 hours to get here.
Oh wow.
Mhm.
Wow.
Like, there's no two ways around it. You get on that like first 15-hour flight and you're like, and now I'm only in Korea.
Right.
Now I have the short leg of my flight, which is 6 hours.
Oh boy. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, Data, you remember that.
I hate that shit, man. I'm too old for it. I remember when it was exciting. I remember really well when it was exciting and an adventure and it didn't bother me at all. And now, all these years later, I'm just kind of like, it makes my body hurt just thinking about it.
Yeah. So that was my trip. It was good.
Yay, I'm glad you're back.
Yeah, me too.
What's the word from the North Carolinians?
Oh, I'm gonna go down and see him in 2 weeks, so I'll give an update after that. But my son, who was really stressed out, seems to be doing better.
Good.
And my daughter, I think I mentioned here, Lucy's daughter, Belle, also lives in Asheville.
What?
The two
Oh,
of
I didn't know that.
well, she took a internship for 4 months, so she's not going to be there long term. But I mean, talk about
But she's there now?
she's there now. Yeah, she moved there the week after Z moved there.
Oh
So
my gosh.
so Belle and Messiah, who have been, were best friends from the age of 3 or 4, are now in the same town. And that's been a friendship that's had its ups and downs, and people just kids going through different stuff, but they are really appreciating one another's friendship and spending a lot of
Oh,
really-
so great.
it just makes all of us in the BLC just like and
Yeah.
but Belle and Z also have a relationship, so they've been doing some stuff together as well, which is nice.
And
That's
Belle and
Messiah are the same age.
okay.
And Gabe.
Okay.
Messiah, Belle, and Gabe are the same age.
Okay.
They're the same age, but
I knew somebody was the same age, but I wasn't sure which.
yeah, Belle was on a different campus, so they were never in school together. And I'm trying to remember if Gabe and Messiah were ever in the same class. I can't remember if they were or not. They were at the same school, but I don't think they had the same teacher. Kate's
And were
probably
they
yelling
at-
at you like, they were in, blah, blah," and I don't remember. I'm so bad on those kinds of memories. But
Yeah. Were they in international school or?
yeah, they were in international school. So it was very sweet. Our four kids, Dawson would have been the oldest, and then Gabe and Messiah and Z all went to the same primary school. So when we were all together for Christmas, of course, they were, talking about, do you remember so and so, the music
Yeah.
teacher, the drama teacher, and the
Oh.
playground, and it was really sweet. It's
Very cool.
very, very special. Yeah. Yeah, so that's me.
Good deal.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking, ooh, that must be our dump of shame. Did you hear it?
I do hear it. Was that
Those bottles. Just the wine bottle.
Possibly not returnable kind, like
Ooh.
long and
That's been a thing on Tree Street for a long time, the dump of shame every Wednesday. Yeah, you got a lot of, everybody knows if you're boozing it up.
everybody's like, oh, they're at Dana's house now.
Crash!
We'll stop in a minute. Yep. That's
Let's see.
Dana's house.
Wait, we're going next. I'm gonna see what my next door neighbors have been up to.
That's funny.
I don't hear anything, Dana.
Well, I don't know if the
Yeah.
word has gotten out, but I have a housemate now.
Oh yes.
Oh,
That's right.
no.
She is 20 years old and from Japan. And she's now been here a week and 2 days. The Thursday before she arrived on Monday, my neighbor called and said, by any chance, would you be interested in hosting an exchange student? And the ironic thing is this has happened 3 other times. And I said, well, maybe, thinking way later, or at least a little bit later. Long story short, I called the person who was in charge and he said, well, can I come over tonight and do a site visit? And I'm like, fuck no. Like you could barely get in my basement. Literally, it's
Where she's living?
Where she's living now. Yeah. I mean, it's perfectly acceptable now, but Abby and Gabe came up from Eugene and helped me for about 4 hours moving shit, emptying, going through whatever. And she's arrived Monday at 3:30. So
She's a high school exchange student?
she is in college, but she's doing sort of a until February, so whatever that is, 6-month immersion, English immersion,
Where is she?
culture experience.
Is she doing that at one of the schools? Where is she?
She's doing it through the program that used to be housed at Merrillhurst, and then Merrillhurst is a college kind of near Dana, but that closed, and then she's now at Warner Pacific, which I didn't know where it was. I knew I'd driven by it 1,000 times, but it's one of those things that you go, oh, that's what that building is. It's on Division. So it's a hop, skip, and a jump for her on the bus. And there's my neighbors who have had exchange students, and the ones who called me also have a student, and they're 3 houses away. So
Do they have a Japanese student as well?
they have a Japanese student who actually came from the same university. They didn't know each other before. There's 3 women from the same university who didn't know each other beforehand, but they were supposed to, very last minute, my friend Sarah, her brother is in radio, and they got 4 tickets to go see Michael Bublé last night. And they were 4 of the girls were going to go. And see them, and
That's such an exchange student thing to do. Like, hey,
well,
we got free
totally
tickets to
random.
a random music concert that
I'm
nobody
like,
else
do you know
wants
who
to
this
see.
is? He goes, no. I said, do you know Frank Sinatra? Does that? No. I mean, she's 20, so you know, and she's Japanese.
Oh,
Anyway,
I hope she liked it.
well, then we got a text from one of the other girls that somebody tested positive yesterday. And
Oh, no,
3 of the
Mary.
girls had come after school, stopped by to, you know, see her place and go downstairs. I was working, so I didn't really see them. And then there was all this scuttlebutt back and forth about, she's like almost as bad as I am, nerdly about COVID. And so she's like, well, I don't know. And one of the other girls was coughing at school, but she didn't want to test. And I'm like, yeah, you're not going. I mean, like, if you're going with her and she's not testing, that's not okay. And then, like, before they had to make a decision, we got word that she tested positive. So the other girl. So
Yeah.
Oh, well, so what are you guys doing for your student then?
well, they're staying home. I was in touch with the director, and I'm like, what's the, you know, skinny on?
Well, yeah.
And they basically have had the option that they can call in. Anybody who tests positive can't return until they test negative. But if they're feeling uncomfortable, then they can call in, they can Zoom in. And until this morning, she was like, I don't know. And she ended up going to school today. So she wears a mask all the time, except at lunchtime. And
Gotta
so
love the Japanese.
I know, but the thing is, these other 2 students are Japanese. I know one of them is the one who tested positive. I think she's from France, but Japanese for sure. With the
Yeah, I have to say it was quite a shock. Because, you know, I was in DC for a hot second between Portland and going to Asia. And then in Asia, I mean, I was on Korean Air. Everybody was wearing a mask, you know, even when they were asleep and, you know, everything. And then
wait, even the flight attendants?
even the flight attendants, everybody in the airport. I mean, everybody was wearing a mask all the time. And then in the Philippines, Bangkok was a little looser than that, but the Philippines, they had an ordinance that you could get fined even on the street for not wearing a mask. So we were going into slums and everybody had a mask on. Everybody,
Wow.
kids, you know, the fishermen, everybody had a mask on. And I mean, everybody wore a mask all the time.
What are their numbers like?
You know, they don't have great vaccination coverage. So I think they still do have transmission. I don't know exactly what their numbers are like, but it's
I mean,
not,
I'd be curious.
yeah. Yeah. You can look it up on the New York Times website, but
Oh yeah.
I'll look it up, Marion.
I just got, or I'm getting solar panels on my house, and the rep came today to measure and do all the whatever he has to do, send a drone over. And the fucking asshole, excuse me, but I was like so clear with the rep on the phone. I'm like, anybody comes to my house, please make sure that they have a mask on. And so this dingbat shows up, like, no mask, doesn't introduce himself. And he's like, yeah, I'm here from whatever the company's name is. And they told you I was coming, right? And I'm like, they did. Did they not tell you to wear a mask? I mean, I have a mask on. I'm like, he goes, no, I'm just like over it. I'm like, I came this close to saying, well, then hop right back in your goddamn car and I'll ask somebody else. But he was like just a pompous ass. And so.
Yeah, and then coming back to DC, I don't know, our numbers here in DC now are, I mean, very, 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 very low. And so nobody's, even in my grocery store, people aren't wearing masks now. It's
Wow.
kind of shocking. It's like, what? What happened to the city? And so it's very, like, on the bus, I'll be the only person wearing a mask now.
Yeah.
It's changed in the last month. I do, yeah. And I think in part because DC is kind of claiming, I don't know if they're claiming victory,
Um,
but it's kind of, everybody's talking about, oh, our numbers are
I would say
lowest
that
of
we're
low.
having survived without getting COVID and then having gotten what I had last week, I felt like shit.
What did you have last
And
week, Dana?
well, I had had some water behind my ear from swimming last summer. And I just sat there and I think that, it combined with whatever kind of cold flu thing came in and I was miserable. I had a fever. I had,
Yeah.
the sinus issues, the sore throat on top of having, ear pain. So that got me to the
And
doctor.
you didn't test positive.
No, I tested myself all like 3 days during that week. Like Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, all times negative, solid negative. So, and nobody, Peter got the cold or whatever it was, Rob got it, but I got it. I got the extra special version. And that's what I think we're going to be looking at this fall.
Oh
is
yeah.
a lot of people getting colds and flus that they have forgotten about.
Oh yeah. Have
I
you guys
know,
gotten your
I
flu
need to go get
shot?
my flu shot. Yeah.
I know.
Me too. Yep.
I got to do that too.
This month.
I got to run. Great to see you guys.
He has to go to a interpreting job.
Okay.
I got to go work. I got to earn money.
Bye.
Oh, and they pay me $7.50 a month for her to be here. Like I've never
Oh.
gotten paid from any
I
exchange.
was gonna
program.
ask that if they gave you.
Nice.
I know. If you wanted an exchange student, one of them is looking for a different home. She doesn't like the mom doesn't cook. So
Oh, well, you know what? That may be something down the road, but we
Yeah.
definitely can't do it now.
I know. Just
Particularly if you have to cook for them too, Dana's like,
No, I
yeah.
just, when you said that, that popped into my mind. I was like, wait a minute. I don't even want to cook for my family, so I'm certainly not cooking for strangers. So, all right, too bad.
all right. Bye guys.
Bye, Mary. That's so funny.
So
Fuck no.
wait, you were sick and then you still went out to the lake?
I got better. I went and I got
Oh.
antibiotics. Yeah, I was supposed to go to, left for the lake on Friday. Yeah, I got on some antibiotics midweek, started to feel better right away. I talked to the doctor. I was like, am I contagious? And he's like, no, you've got a fucking ear infection along with some other crap that, I'm still sniffing and coughing,
Yeah.
but
I was
that's-
surprised the weather was good enough still for you guys to be
Oh,
on that lake.
it was so beautiful. We got so lucky. We had just, Gretchen and I arrived, we had Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night. So we had all day, Saturday and Sunday on the water. Both those days were like 85, 80 degrees.
Oh.
Beautiful, not a cloud in the sky.
And was this one of the places where you guys had the mini house and
Yeah.
they brought their trailer?
They brought their trailer. Gretchen and I got the tiny house with the massive deck, and we all just sat out there and drank a shit ton of wine and watched the Milky Way cruise across the sky. It was did some hot tubbing under the stars. I'm telling you, I could do that all the time. I could live like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. And Gretchen was well enough.
Yeah, she had more strength than I did. She said that her arms are still weak, that she doesn't have. She was worried. She likes to do her leg, her synchronized swimming leg that goes up. She was worried when she first jumped in the water that she was like, I don't know if I have the strength in my arms to be able to keep myself up, but she did it. So she is.
Because
she's
I
much.
think when before I went out to Portland, you guys were concerned that she wouldn't even get out on the water at all this season, right?
Yeah. Oh God. And that's why we were so happy, so excited, because it was really the first time we'd been on the water together all season. So it was an important trip. And maybe get to go back at the end of the month, depending. I just love it there. You know,
At
I
the
mean,
end of
it's not,
October for the-
houses are not inexpensive,
Yeah,
but I mean, I just want to spend my kind of holidays being in the outdoors, and if water is available, that's even better. And if the sky is dark, that's even better.
yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, I
Oh, how special. And is Craig done with his job now? Is he on?
he's doing 2 jobs now. I guess until the end of the month when he signs off with Mercy Corps, he's basically kind of still he's doing Mercy Corps and his new position, you know, getting to know people.
But I thought his new position, he was going to have a couple of weeks.
October, they're gonna have he's gonna have the whole month of October off, and they're gonna
Right.
go down to Palm Springs and have some fun. And I think he said he was gonna build his water feature in the backyard. So it's the perfect month. And then it's his birthday month, perfect month to have off.
He's going to build his water feature in the back.
And then I guess November, I think they're gonna be coming to see you in DC, right?
Well, that's why I was saying that you should look into coming then too, Dana. But I
I
don't have dates yet for that. I don't know
Yeah.
if you have dates.
I don't know what the dates are. I mean, if it works and I can do it, I will. That would be fun. Although it would probably end up being a longer trip for me, because if I come to DC and I don't see my parents
Yeah,
there,
exactly. You have to go down to Virginia. That's what you were thinking.
Yeah. so it's a lot of time. I mean, you know, it's not for me. It's not a quick trip. And if I were going to come out, I'd want to hang out with you guys a little bit too.
Yeah.
So trying to decide if I want to ask my parents to come out here. Because I mean, granted, they are like 85 years old. They still get around pretty well. And it would be easier for me if they were to come here so that they could see everybody.
Yeah.
But I don't know. We'll wait
Where
and see what happens.
they would drive to DC and fly from DC or from Dulles?
No, they fly out of Richmond.
Okay, so but they'd have to connect somewhere, right? Like Chicago or
Yeah, I think they usually go through Atlanta because we're Delta people.
you're Delta people.
Well, I should rephrase. Peter is a United person,
Hmm.
and I
I'm
hate
United.
United.
I'm United.
Not but I've always been a huge Delta fan, and so that's where I put my money. We'll see what happens. Peter had his oncology appointment yesterday, and that was hard. It was the first time that he had seen Dr. Yee since the day he was admitted to the emergency room because he exploded.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's on. Dr. Yee has no more chemo. He's been forwarded to hospice, so they'll be coming on Friday, I think. So hospice is good because you get a lot of free stuff,
I
right?
was gonna say, that's what you were hoping he would get before he was released from the hospital, right?
Well, I mean, it's in-home hospice, so you know, if he wants a bed, I mean, it's work for me. It's not work. I'm gonna have to, if they bring him a hospital bed, I'm gonna have to clear everything out at the spare room that he's sleeping in because it's a small room. You know, and I asked Dr. Yee, you know, I'm like, so
But does that mean that he also can get home visitation to help him change his bag and those kinds of?
Well, that was the home health nurse. And so she was here today. So basically she's kind of handing off to hospice now. They'll have somebody that'll take over for her. But I mean, yeah, you know, you get all your meds are covered, all this, you know. But Dr. Yee also said, you know, you could live for another year. Yeah, that I was really depressed. Honestly, after we came back from that appointment, I
Oh, God,
I
yeah.
was so depressed. I just couldn't do anything. I just sat on a chair in the front yard and just stared at nothing.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's one thing to say day by day, and it's another thing to say possibly a year. I mean,
yeah, it was when he said that, I was just like, oh my God. So, you know, he's got his morphine, he's got his death with dignity in place, you know, all of that. he had a really bad morning this morning with pain. He was like, his pain number was a 7. That's really high. So
Yeah, for somebody who's been living with a lot of pain for a long time.
yeah. But
Well-
I mean, no, I don't know what to say, or, he ate half a pepperoni pizza last night and drank some wine, drank some beer. I don't know how long he's gonna be able to keep doing that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I have a little regrouping I have to do this week. I gotta
Yeah.
pull up the old bootstraps and get my shit together, because
Oh, Donna. I mean, you've
I
just done
know.
that so many times.
it keeps happening like this. Up and down, up and down. So yeah. I did not want to come home. I did not want to leave.
From the lake, you mean?
No, I didn't. I mean, honestly, all the way to government camp, I was just, because we stopped in at Gabby to go to the bathroom and then just drive through and reminisce about drunk stuff that we did.
Yeah. Yeah.
When
just
we were
people-
younger and hangovers didn't bother us so much. We can
Yeah,
eat one a weekend and feel fine the next day. Jesus. Yeah. So I'm just gonna put one foot in front of the other. And hopefully get to see you sometime this fall, winter.
Yeah. Well, I hope the hospice provides some additional level of.
Yeah, I do too. It'll be interesting to see what they have on Thursday, I mean on Friday when they come, who it is, what they're like, what they have to offer. Because I don't know any of that shit.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope they're good people that, I mean, I guess people get into that business because they really are good at it or they need a paycheck. So I hope you get the people who are good at it. I think there are some people who are called to that kind of caregiving that are really,
Definitely.
that are really good at it.
Well, we'll see. It's good for Peter because he gets a visitor.
Yeah,
He gets somebody who's paying attention to his needs,
yeah,
because the old lady's burned out.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, and so is he still he can just lay down and stand up? He can't sit?
he can sit, but I don't even know why he bothers to sit. It's so uncomfortable for him. Sits at the table and reads the Australian news with 50,000 cushions under his butt.
Hmm.
But I've learned that I can't tell him, I can't
Yeah,
offer him information, or he just doesn't, anything that I say is not necessarily helpful as far as he's concerned. If I'm going to do something for him, then that's helpful. But if I just say words, then he
yeah,
doesn't listen.
yeah.
So that's why I'm glad that hospice will be coming, and we'll find out
Yeah.
how often. Yeah, because
Well, and if they will do things, right? That's their whole job.
they better do things, because I told him October the 1st, when I go pay rent at the studio, I'm working. I'm going to start to work. The weather's beautiful. I can get back down there now and
Yeah,
not suffer. So
Yeah.
I'm going to be gone during the day.
yeah, you need your life back.
I do. I've put that on hold for literally a month longer than I normally do during the summer months.
Yeah,
And it's hard when I don't work this much. It kind of, it's almost like the emotional toll of not being able to make stuff that expresses myself. It's like it gets plugged up. And so now I've got to go figure out how to get it unplugged.
yeah, yeah. Do you feel like you have like a ton of ideas that you're ready to let out, or you feel like you're gonna
I've
go
been
for
writing things
some
down.
time?
Yeah. Well, I have like these weird, like a little weird thought will pop into my head. Oh, I could do something like this. And most of the time I'm really good about getting up and grabbing my black book, which is what I write my ideas in. So I definitely have a couple of things that have come through for the past few months that I'm going to see if I can't.
Mhm.
I have these weird ideas, and then I'm like, how am I going to execute that?
Yeah. And you finished all the pieces that you were working on before, right? Or maybe it's never finished, but
I didn't. Well, I started working on that whole scroll idea that I was going to do and put all the stuff in place and got vowels.
yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. Right now, I just set it aside, and so, I mean, but I've been setting that one aside for a couple of years now. It'll
Yeah.
come back. And then I still wanted to do the
I was
how
thinking of the one with all the copper wraps with that you were.
yes, I
Yeah,
was gonna
that
do more
one's
of those.
finished, yeah.
Yeah, that takes a toll on my thumbs.
Mhm.
That's because there's a lot of, you gotta squeeze it really hard, and so it's, I've come to have a whole new respect for hunter gatherers and nomadic people that use and anybody that has to make with their hands all the time in
Right.
repetitive motion.
Right,
Whoa,
right, right.
yeah.
Yeah, I
it's
wouldn't
hard.
have thought of hunter gatherers. I always think of factory workers that are doing the same thing over and over again.
Yeah,
Sometimes
or I
I'm
think
like,
of people
think I'd
working
be a
on
good
carpets.
factory worker.
Yeah, loom work, carpet work, anything where you're constantly doing
Yeah,
that same, and stitching is so, but yeah, I have some ideas that we'll see how they play out, how they come out over the next couple of months.
yeah. So I'll start to see you back in your studio.
I can't hear you.
I'll start to see you back in your studio.
Yes, and yes, you will in October.
Yeah,
I'm
good.
so very excited about that.
3 days.
Is it? I don't know what day it is
The
anymore.
28th.
Thank you.
No, I've also been like, what? It's October?
You've been gone for a while though, it seems like. You were on the road.
I was on the road for half of September, so it shouldn't be a shock that it's October, but
Yeah. Hey, where will you stay when you go down to Asheville?
I actually need to figure that out. An Airbnb is where I usually stay, but I haven't booked it. I don't know. There's a couple of things at work that keep getting shifted around, so I don't know. I haven't figured it out.
The reason that I asked is because I don't know what it's like down there now, and as far as weather conditions, but the month of October and early November are leaf watching.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And there are a bunch of people that show up to watch leaves. And there's also, you should see,
Oh, you mean so it's going to be booked?
it'll probably be crowded, and the month of
Oh,
October
okay.
popular.
I hadn't thought about that.
There are some festivals that are up there, like in Valley Cruises and Banner Elk. They have fall festivals they're just harvest festivals, and like the Woolly Worm Festival, that one's really fun. But the mountains attract a lot of people in October, November.
Okay. All right. Well, I should look into that.
Did you ever go to see to Biltmore Estate?
No, we didn't go there.
The only reason that I ask is, I mean, it's probably expensive now and maybe not worth it, but when I went years ago, they have some really amazing John Singer Sargent portraits. And I'm a portrait nerd.
Yeah.
I
am too.
Yeah. Probably very expensive though now. And it's just an old house that a bunch of white people lived in.
Yeah, I don't think we looked at the entrance tickets, but I do remember it being kind of.
Yeah, I mean, the gardens were designed by Frederick Law Olmsted, and then, like I said, John Singer Sargent visited there. That was my only interest in it.
I didn't even make it to the art museum downtown either time I went. Which
I don't even remember that they had an art museum.
Yeah, it's right downtown. And the first time I was there, they had an Anne Wyeth show. Which is, I like, my parents had a reproduction of Christina's World on our living room wall when I was a kid. And my mom always had long black hair that she wore in a bun up until I was around 5 or 6. And I always thought it was a painting of my mom. And I found out later in life, of course, that no, it's a very famous painting. And it's not my mom.
Not your mommy.
I mean, talk about beautiful portraits. Andrew Wyeth, come on.
Yeah, the Wyeths they're a really interesting family. I wonder if that's the same exhibit or partial that was the one that we had. It was big.
I think it's a partial one. When I was in grad school, I think I saw a huge Wyeth retrospective at the Los Angeles Museum. I think is the one that curated it. And I mean, this is a smaller museum, so it must. have
Yeah.
a portion.
Isn't there, for some reason, I'm not sure if I'm confusing it with another town. I thought that they had a really great arts and crafts museum as well, like a folk art museum.
They do, yeah. And I
That
didn't
kind
go to
of
that
shit's
one either.
really cool because you get to see all that hillbilly stuff.
I mean, if it was like real folk art, I think my impression was that it was more of a craft museum than
Mm,
like what I would consider a folk art museum.
Yeah.
So my impression was that it was more crafty.
Yeah, I'd have to look at their website and find out. I mean, like for me, I kind of think like in a way, I don't know if I should say this or not, but the gold standard that I can think of for folk museums is the Abbey Aldrich Rockefeller Folk Art Museum in Williamsburg. I mean, that's some fucking quirky wackadoodle
Yeah,
shit. You
I
know,
don't know that.
old portraits that people look like.
Yeah, exactly. That's the kind of stuff I like. I don't know that in
Yeah.
Williamsburg.
Yeah, it's yes, it's right in downtown Colonial Williamsburg. It's kind of neat. They've got some really weird shit. And that's one of the things that I love about early American folk art is the weirdness of it.
I know. And then you see different mediums. I mean, they
Mhm.
have some of it in the American Art Museum here.
Yes.
Maybe 4 rooms on American, yeah. And you see like wooden sculptures and, you know,
Oh, totally. Yeah.
quilts
And
and
the whole idea of those itinerant portrait painters that would, go from town to town. And in some of them, we don't know who they are. Some were very talented. Others were just fucking awful.
yeah,
But what an interesting life to live. And in some of them, like, and you can tell like who the same painter is, that they would have like that formula of, we've already got the dress painted.
right,
Now all we have to do is stick your head on it.
right,
Um,
right.
it's- yeah. So I don't know, if you end up getting a chance to do that, let me know if it's any good
Okay.
or if it's just like balls of string.
Okay, well, now I'm gonna look into the fall festivals. Okay, shall we get going, Dana?
That's-
Shall we
yeah.
we're still gonna do our meditation, right?
Yeah. I need it.